these are very obviously games for grown-ups. These are not kids' games. They're very much for mature audiences, covering almost all of the things that are in ticky boxes that censors and classification boards have to deal with. How has it been for you with Nintendo allowing this sort of content on their previously very closed garden, their own personal hardware?
They've been really great about it, and that, you know, there's probably this massive, fascinating discussion that led up to all of those things being approved and moving forward in the first place that I don't know that we'll ever see. At the time that we get involved, when we started discussing with them, everybody acknowledged the challenges on all sides, right? Whether it's Panic Button or Bethesda or Nintendo, but also the opportunity. Because what it does is it expands the appeal of the platform. And there's also, you've got a very long time fan base that as we move through the calendar, we love a franchise. And now we have a Nintendo Switch. And now I can also buy that franchise I love on Nintendo Switch. I think the other part of it too is it was a whole new audience. And when you're running a business and you have great intellectual property, whether it's on Nintendo Switch as a platform or Doom as a property, it's a whole new audience to reach, because there's a whole bunch of people who they go from Nintendo generation to generation to generation, and they haven't played Doom, and they might not have played Doom since Doom 64. So this created a new opportunity for everybody, and everybody acknowledged kind of the different challenges with the content and how we laid out the SKUs for the different regions and things like that. And they were very supportive about it on the business back end also, and on the rating side and things like that, making sure everything was done correctly, but that we added it to the platform in a way that expanded the platform.
With these games that are coming out these days, I mean, you look at Doom and you look at Wolfenstein II, and they're such big, bombastic, shiny. There's so much detail and everything going on. What are some of the challenges about having to bring all of that into something that can fit in a backpack?
There's a lot of challenges, and we go into it kind of looking at an assessment of the technology, where there are some challenges, whether it's on the CPU side, the GPU side, what they have for levels of detail, what their targets were for resolution or frame rate on other platforms, and where they struggled. And then from there, we kind of go, it's a very long process, but we go through and we look at, okay, how do we start removing some of these bottlenecks? What are some of the things that you see on a different platform, but aren't visible or noticeable to players, and are there passes that we can remove in post-processing or things like that give us the same effect, but don't impact the performance as much. And it was for us going into Doom. That was our first exposure with the id engine, and so it was a learning process at the same time that we were moving the title over. For Panic Button, that's a lot of what we do. We work with so many different titles and technologies and partners that it changes every time. And the number one thing we run into, engine-wise, tends to be proprietary technology, followed by Unreal 4 and then Unreal 3 and then on down the line. So jumping into proprietary technology wasn't, I mean, it was a big deal, but it wasn't a new thing for us. And then we had a very supportive studio who, even though they were very busy with some other things, were available to answer questions or get us the things we need or that kind of thing. So it's very challenging because we're taking assets that are made for going up to 4K and we're doing it in handheld mode at 720p kind of thing. So we do a lot of things like we re-implement entire systems, we change how we're doing memory handling, we re-implement things like shadows, or we remove passes that aren't going to show up. And then we do some fun things with a variable resolution, which is a very normal thing in the industry, and we try to make sure that it doesn't impact or damage the game at all. But at the end of the day, it's about the quality of the experience and the quality of life for the gamer. And so that's what drives a lot of the stuff that we do from the making the technology work side of things.
And then when you look at the comparison videos, I mean, when the first ones came out for Doom and it was, here is this, people were blown away by what you guys were able to do with such restrictive hardware.
Right, and we're very proud of that, because it's, for us, we're also gamers, and we're also fans of the hardware. We're also fans of the game on other hardware, and so we wanted to bring a quality experience to people. We're very careful not to do, and not to be dismissive, but we try not to do quick and dirty ports. We want to do a value add. I own all the hardware, and when I buy a game on a particular piece of hardware, I want to feel good that I bought that game on the hardware. I own and bought Doom on PS4 and Xbox One and PC and Nintendo Switch, and I love that property, and I want it to be special for people. And I think that drives a lot of what we do, and gives us that quality that's different from just, oh, we're going to move this game over to the hardware and it'll be fine because the license is great. We don't want to do that.